Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's good to see you. My name is Stjepan. Again, you can call me Stefan or the tall guy or whatever. I really don't care. But yes, it's good to be here. This is the first demo day of the year. Unfortunately, I had a personal kind of an emergency last time, so I couldn't meet. Everything's fine. Everybody's safe. Don't worry. We rescheduled that demo, so anyway, apologize for anybody who's maybe in the waiting room waiting for it. But again, we're here now. We have Cody, or at least that's how I think they pronounce it. Dennis and Paige here are gonna fix or like correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, hi everybody. Please write where you're calling from or where you're joining from. I would love to know that. That's one thing that I would really appreciate you writing. And the second thing I'm really curious to know is if you have any like apps that you would love to see on this show that we like analyze, and check out and interview and so on. We have a whole. I think I'm like not right now. We're booked until like May actually with like weekly demo days. So this is awesome. But so there's a whole long list of apps. We just haven't scheduled the events yet. But please, if you have some app that you really want to see, just like write it and message me, and then we're gonna see if we can have them on. Anyways, I'm gonna stop talking now and invite Dennis and Paige to the screen. Hi, guys.
Hello.
What's happening?
Yes, nice to meet you. It was like this was as we just checked it in the back room, like 6 months, 6 months ago that we booked this, right?
Oh yeah. It's been some time.
Yes, and I remember 6 months ago you mentioned Dennis something that you're gonna have like some updates, like big updates. Are they ready? Are they here?
Yeah, we have a few. We're kickstarting the year with a big update for us as well, and a bit of a fun roadmap that we'll be showing off at the end as well.
Okay, cool. Well, listen, I first want to learn more about you guys and more about I guess Oculi, Cody. What's the firm? What's the product? How do you call it? Where are you guys from? How did the idea come about? So please tell me more about that.
Yeah, definitely. So it's you're the first person to nail both names.
Okay.
The pronunciation that most people have taken on is Oculi, and it's very interesting. It was pronounced Oculi because it stands for seeing the light, and we're always trying to find a good path in the industry, in the AEC industry. So a little bit about ourselves. Oculi started about 5 years ago, and it started off in many different facets. Started off as laser scanning company and then went into many other different things. And we pivoted many times until about 2-3 years ago when Paige joined on, and we really found a problem and started joining in. So a little bit about myself. I come from a tech background in the AEC industry. I am very similar to yourself, Stefan. I used to travel all over doing different service offerings for companies all over North America. So I was helping companies like HNTB, Disney's Imagineering, many other teams to find their efficiency and help in Revit, BIM workflows, stuff like that.
Yeah. So my name is Paige Reisha. Also, my last name, no one ever says it right. So hopefully this will start correcting everyone moving forward for the rest of my life. But I've worked in the industry, in the architecture world for about 12 years now. I started out building architectural models for, the condo centers that you see, the presentation centers. I built miniature versions of those condos. So that was really fun, but moved into an engineering firm for a bit, and then I worked at WZMH Architects here in Toronto, and that's how I met Dennis. And then from there, I worked on one very big infrastructure project and just learned the challenges of that really well, for better or for worse. And I ended up leaving to start my own company, an architectural design firm doing custom residential design, and did that for about 5 years as a solopreneur. I had some employees here and there, co-op students, but mostly by myself. And I was able to do that successfully purely from automations that I built to, do little admin tasks, project startup things. So it was fun, but now I've closed that door, and now I'm part of Oculi, building CODiii. I deal with operations, marketing, sales, and the UI design.
Okay, so you guys are co-founders on Oculi or CODiii? Like how does it work?
Oculi. Yeah.
Oculi is the company, Cody is the
Yes.
product.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay. Does the company have any other products?
Not at this time, but
Okay.
we have big dreams.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. But how did you then get started with this? Like, where did the idea come from? I mean, I understand the history, but like, what is then Cody? Like, what does it do? What does it help people with?
So that actually came from a lot of industry research. We were trying to find a problem that was worth solving. When Oculi first started out, it was it was pre-COVID, and then COVID hit, and we were trying to find ways to get people back into malls and shopping. So we were finding ways to scan people into a mall so they can shop digitally with their AR devices. We were creating like anchoring systems to be able to walk people into retail experiences without having to go in. We were playing like a number of different things, but none of them were actually problems that needed to be solved. They were all more things that were nice to haves. So we did some more research, went out to a couple of conferences about 2 years ago, and one of them really kind of hit. We were behind the scenes and hearing the murmurings, and one of the areas that was being missed was compliance. And it started off as code compliance. Like, we started looking at people were wanting to check their buildings against building codes. But then you'd open your ear over to another wing and you'd hear an electrician talking about, something being wrong on their end. And then the supplier was talking about something being wrong over here. And we realized that compliance was just, we really needed to take the helicopter and go way out and see what in the world is going on. So so that's where it went. And we found that one major problem was non-compliance in building and construction. So, so we focused on it. Yeah.
Okay. Did you focus on it for the Canadian market, or did you go US market too, or maybe other markets? Like, how did you get started with that?
Well, the market was interesting. I used to work at Imaginate Technologies as a technical representative and used to do a lot of training across North America. So many of the companies I had the chance to work with were in the US, and a lot of them also based here in Canada, across from border to border. So we had the opportunity to just kind of ask around and, learning to figure out exactly what this meant. And it was about 300, 400 plus companies that we've talked to over the last 2-3 years, which is wild. So, just to make sure, to get our facts straight, is it actually a problem? And it's a huge problem. So.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, Cody is solving the pain of navigating building codes for architects primarily. And please correct me if I'm wrong. And the main kind of shape of it is a chatbot, or?
Yeah, we'll get into that. So I think the best way to do is to show this.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so I've got something that can help explain. So this is getting you inside the brain of Oculi and where we started with this.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pop this up. Can you see this?
Yes, I just pulled your screen, so please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of getting you in the brain of where we started brainstorming. We wanted to know what the core areas that cause projects to go south are. So we started with, okay, well, what's the actual process? Let's start high level. We looked at the actual building life cycle and said, okay, well, what's the basics of the building life cycle? So we started looking at design, build, operate. We said, okay, well, what are the areas that are the common KPIs that we need to look at? And we looked at cost, schedule, and just document movement. These are the areas that are just massive pain points that just are front, right, and center. Everyone can understand it. So we tried to figure out what the actual life cycle is and is it working? So we looked at how documents move around a building life cycle. We said, is it actually what we think it is? We found out it's actually more like a chasm. It is a big empty chasm where we're handing documents from design to bid or build. They're falling off into this chasm to be lost forever. And they keep on working around this circle with that same mindset and constantly losing information as it's going. So we looked at this, and this is also a communication barrier because operations and management have to yell across this big endless chasm to try and get information. And this whole process was convoluted. So we looked at this and said, are we actually on target? So we started asking questions. And in order to ask questions, we needed to know who was part of the process. And then we took that helicopter and we moved out. And we built out this web of what a project actually looks like from inside and out. And there's about 440 touch points on any given project of individuals that are involved in this. So we just started picking away.
Dennis, can we just stop here for a second?
Yeah,
because I think everybody's I think everybody's like zooming in on their screen just to see if it gets better. I know I am. What like, okay, I understand you started with like the first principles of like a building project, let's say, design, build, or manage. And then you looked at, okay, these are the commonalities, so cost, schedule, documents. They'll get lost. Miscommunication happens all the time. Who does what happens all the time. So, okay, I understand. But where does all of this other come from? So you started breaking down every single one of those into more and more and more details, or how?
Yeah, so we started going granular. We looked at, okay, well, what encompasses design? What do you need to complete a design? And who's at the table? So we looked at, okay, we got engineers, there's approvals that need to happen, there's architects, interior design, etc. We start looking at like what sits within those buckets. And then we looked at what the responsibilities and who's attached to each of these areas. And we started feeding out like all the different variety of information that's attached to our whole building life cycle. And because what our intention was when we build this out, we want to know how they communicate to each other and what's connected. So we started really trying to understand why projects are failing in terms of schedule and costs and documents. And that's when the real information started coming out. So,
okay.
Yeah.
One more question on this, because this is very interesting. I'm so happy that you showed this, because it just shows the complexity of any given project. But I have a question. So it goes out and out and out and out. That's how it grows. But does anything come back to the middle, to the point that you can then solve? If you understand my question.
Yeah, it actually happens all the time. So the reason why we were creating this is because, to your point, and it almost sounds like you're selling our product for us, but it's the intention is that what happens is it gets so far down the line that near the end, decisions are being made that are based on close-knit assumptions. So for instance, you may make a direct cost and material choice, but when you make that material choice, there are impacts that it could have all the way over with architectural that have to do with sustainability or metrics that you didn't know about. So you just went ahead and ordered it on information that you know you only have at hand. And these errors cause increase in cost, and they affect your overall schedule. And this is happening because the access to information and the communication barriers are too arduous that it ends up becoming an issue. So it's we could go on for like days on this. It's kind of wild once you start putting all the players on the table and look at this and how they communicate.
Okay. No, I mean, thank you for explaining. I don't think this is the focus of today, I mean, as we know. But I can see that, like a person who's, like, you said it, like you came from like consulting and helping and servicing clients and so on. I can see that here, I can see the whole understanding. It says a lot about your capacity and how you guys think about this. But how does CODiii fit into this?
Yeah, so that's where we first started with CODiii to solve a small problem. We looked at building codes primarily. Our first application, which was 2 years ago, was CODiii Scout. As part of our roadmap, we wanted to start with a way to communicate with our documents. And those documents were strictly building codes. And we had, and I don't know if he's on the line or if he's watching, but KP Reddy, who was one of the individuals we talked to, said, why stop there? Like, it's only one area of our industry. Like, this compliance is not just this area. So that's why we looked at this. And Cody, we looked at Cody and how it interacts with documents. And we said, well, let's zoom way out and have Cody be able to connect to all of this. Let's not build an application that can focus on just plumbing supplies. Let's focus our energy on building a really smart brain called Cody that can work with all of these documents, no matter the size or complexity. So that's what Cody is aiming to do. It's a design and construction brain that connects you to all your information instead of creating a common data environment, and allows you to surface all of your requirement issues to this to your hands. So
Okay.
if that makes sense. Yep.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I am interested in, like, especially on just the small part that you mentioned, like, unlike a CDE. So, like, because, like, you still need to have this data somewhere. So how do you plug in the data? That's a question we can maybe cover later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe we can go ahead and see Cody in action. Like, how does it typically look like? How do people access it?
Yeah, definitely. So in Cody's web-based application, it's and we'll get into the security of it, but it's highly secure. We've been back and forth with a lot of enterprise customers to talk about that. So just to prove that point, everything that we go through, you can go in, log in with Microsoft, or you can log in via Cognito. There's two different areas that we've serviced, because everything that we've built is through AWS. So for those of you who are highly technical, that's where we start. We use multi-factor auth for all of our logins. So, and I felt it was important to show this.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be pre-logged in when we started off. So yeah, you jump into Cody. Cody jumps in the first time you see him, says, let's get started. Let's create your first project. And it just opens up right to Cody's interface. We wanted it to feel comfortable. So at face value, looks just like a chatbot. This is something that you're familiar with. This is where we started. We wanted to create a way to communicate with your documents effectively. So we did that. But we wanted to kind of change the status quo of how we communicate with our documents. We already built a chatbot. It was fine for what it was, but now it's time to take it to the next level for our industry. So in Cody, we have a couple of tabs. One is our requirements tab. In our requirements tab, you can add as many of these design, build, or operate requirements as you want. We originally started with all 440 of these requirements pre-built in. And through our customer feedback, they said it was extremely overwhelming. So we decided not to do that. We decided to just strip it back and make it a little bit more simple. So the way it works is you start off a project, create a project, give it a project name, and then you can search up different project types. We tried to get in the mindset of, like, how does a project actually start? Well, we start by classifying it. Like, what exactly is it that we're building? So for instance, if you're building a residential building that are apartment and condos, great. You'll notice that you can just hit next. But what happens if we add retail to it? And we also add retail. Well, it'll ask you immediately to select your major occupancy. So you'll be able to actually identify, what is taking precedence over your entire building from a building code perspective. So then you hit next, you enter in your address, 123 address, street, and I know it'll probably look for a random address here. Did I actually show that it was actually address street? That'd be hilarious. Sure, let's pick that one. Select a location, build some information in there, adjacent streets. And for those of you who worked with building code, you'll probably recognize exactly what we're doing here. We're building what's called the building code matrix in the background. These key bits of information are establishing the foundation behind Cody, which will be used in many other new features that we'll be releasing in our roadmap down the line. But right off the hop, when I hit next, you'll see that it's already classified the building as part 3, for those of you who are familiar with the building codes here, as it already knows the square footage or square meters of the building and number of stories, et cetera, exceed what a residential house could be. And then you hit next, and then create your project. So it'll generate that project, and you'll notice there's no documents in here. You'll see the chat pop up. Cody's going to ask you how you want to help, and we can start plugging in information. I can keep going. Did you want to stop for any questions, or?
No, I think you should keep going. I mean, we have some like comments
Cool.
from Tim. Tim, hi, Tim. He's always there, so that's awesome. But I think they can wait for a bit later.
Awesome.
Like,
Okay.
what's the database of CODiii? So just go ahead.
Sounds good. So one thing we did is when we're having conversations, Cody is completely locked out from the outside world. So he has no access to information outside of the project. So right now, if I was to ask Cody a question, it'd be useless. Has no documents to pull from. What we did do, though, is we created a web option, which is a punch through of Cody, which gives you access, and we call it GPT mode. You can just punch through and start asking your questions to an outside source. None of the information here is saved down to Cody, like in terms of project. It's not accessible to anyone else. This is all you. So we've created that to separate the work that's non-project related to work that's personal. So we've created that ability. You can also attach documents just like you normally would in a chatbot in here and function that way. So to start, what we do is we go to the requirements page, and in here it's going to ask you to put in your requirements under design build. You search to find a requirement if you need it, and there's no cards yet, so we'll just build one. All right, so inside here, you just click add requirement, and then from there, you decide the phase you want to put it in, the industry. So let's just say it's utilities, category electrical, and then subcategory could be backup power systems. So in there, what we've done that's different than most, we didn't want to create a common data environment, because when we first started CODiii, one of the bottlenecks of moving to a software is the setup. And not just the setup, but the duplication of documents. And when we talk about duplication, that's where a lot of errors are happening. And many of you who are on the call probably realize or recognize this when you issue a drawing to site. That site has been issued for construction, let's say. And somewhere back in the office from one of the consultants, they've made an update. They put it somewhere, but the revised drawing never got updated. And the site is working off of outdated drawings. And now you've built something that you shouldn't have, and et cetera. So that is all because of duplication of documentation. We said, let's try and find out if we can just take it from its source and just connect to CODiii. So that's where this comes in. So we've given the ability, you can either use a Google Drive or a SharePoint folder or whatever you like. You right click on one of the folders. So in this case, let's say power distribution. You copy the link and make sure that it's shareable. And then when you're in here, you just drop it in and hit save. So it'll build that requirement in. You'll see that it's connecting the data. So the information that it's extracting, all of this information sits on localized servers as, for those of you who are AI savvy, as embeddings. They sit there just ready to use for information purposes. But the server is your own. It's company-based. It's personally based. It's all your own information. And you'll see that it's establishing it in Pilot. Now, we've made no limits to the size of documents that you can put in here. We've been uploading entire building codes into these systems. So you'll notice that it's in here. You'll see the backup systems. You'll see the links that are inside and the linked folders that are part of it. So now it's part of CODiii. And you just set it and forget it. And you can do this for a number of different companies. You can invite as many companies you want. If they're in construction, if they're roofers, if they're whatever, they just come in, plug in, link their file without you having direct access to make any edits, and then you're good to go.
Okay. Dennis, I'm going to jump in here if it's okay.
Go for it.
So regarding these requirements, does this then, you need to have different requirements, or like you need to upload every single time you have a project? Is that how this is expected to work?
Yeah, so a couple of feedback we've had from our first rendition is, yes, currently you have to upload the requirements for every project. What we're working on at the moment is a company directory. So you'll be able to actually just click on one of the files and then set it to company so that it can be used across multiple projects, kind of like an in-house standards. So that's currently in motion right now. So
okay. And what about languages? Is
it
only in English?
We have drop down for language right here, where you can switch to Spanish, French, German, Chinese. So we'll start building out more. But yeah, the intention is to make that easier so that we can do multiple languages. Yeah.
My question is like more in the files you upload. Like, can they be in all of these languages and still be indexed, or do they need to be in English?
Yeah, they can be all. We've set it to read. So the second you install these, you can read the language and put it in.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun stuff. Like I mean, again, we're getting requests from various different countries. We've had many different requests, and building out the language, as you know from software, is an arduous task. But we want to try and make this available for as many people as we can. Cool. Okay. So similarly, same thing. Like you can go through this process of establishing new features, or sorry, uploading new documents. So again, like design, we do specifications, say materials, and yeah, let's just do that. We can set this up in many different ways. So let's say specs, copy link, fire it in, save. And keep in mind that we're in some project startups, you're starting from scratch. And as you add in more consultants, you're just adding in as you go. So in most cases, you're just doing this ad hoc on as a project's expanding. So that extraction will go through its work, build up and create portfolio, and then we can start asking questions. So if we go into the chat function here, you'll see there's door specs. And the one thing that we've done with being able to communicate with Cody is being able to ask multiple documents questions. So when we look at this, if I look at my door spec and minimum power guidelines, I can select more than one and prompt them all together. So that helps us do multimodal research, which is why when we looked at that building life cycle, we want to be able to have somebody ask a question with all the informed decisions at their table. So as long as the documents exist in Cody, you can start doing research on many things at once. So I don't know if there's anything in here that's beneficial. I'm picking random documents here. So what are the power restrictions for door access? I have no idea. I'm throwing questions out of my butt. There we go. And we would hit send, and then it's going to go through and it's going to look at both of these documents. So what it'll do is compare both documents and run it against each other to see if there's any information that's contradictive, and it'll create its response based on that. So this is very good when you're doing like code versus specs versus owner briefs, and you want to choose like, say, a material or a door size or something like that. You say, can you look into all of these and see if I can actually use it? You know, take all the documents, smash them together, and come out with a response. So yeah, it's this is one area that we've been focusing heavily on, is Cody's brain and how it does research. So
there are some questions I see in the chat. There's one specifically asking if Cody can handwrite or read handwritten notes. Yeah, thank you for highlighting that. Which currently, no, we can't at the moment. But that is something that we want to do in the future. Same with drawings. We get that question a lot of the time. Can Cody read drawings? And no, Cody is only text-based. So it can read the text on a vectorized PDF, but it can't read the actual drawings and identify, a door is a door, for example. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. There's a couple more questions as well.
Yeah, tell me if you want to cover them immediately. We can, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So Tim is asking here. Tim, hi Tim, always there in the audience. Good to see you. So on U.S. federal projects, there are also extensive Department of Defense standards that may or may not be applicable, in addition to the basic building code analysis. So I guess, can Cody reference whole building design guides for library standards and local zoning codes also?
Yeah, everything. So if it exists in a Word document or in any sort of document, it doesn't matter. The way we've trained Cody is to be AEC centric. And what I think this is a good segue to kind of go into where the bones of Cody is. We've taken a very interesting approach. If you've been following me on LinkedIn, we have a brain behind Cody called CODiii Daydream. And for those of you who are scared of AI, plug your ears. I'm hoping that you're here for the good stuff. But CODiii Daydream was born out of me walking to a hockey rink, and I saw a child sitting outside during spring hockey session. He was eating a popsicle, and he was staring off into the distance, and he was looking at whatever he was looking at. But I sat there and I said, well, how much thinking do we process when we go into a daydream state? And the reality is when we're sleeping and going into a daydream state, we're learning so fast. We're doing lots of things at once and we're processing, almost like we're downloading and re-looking at information. So I looked at how can we get our AI to do something similar to that? So we built Cody in a daydream state where it can look, when it's resting, at different keywords, jargon, semantic relationships with each other, and start compiling all this in the background so that it can look at as many documents in our industry as possible. And all of those 440 touch points are wired into the background, and it's constantly adding more. So it's learning how to communicate from the perspective of each of these different companies. So when you go in here and you look at your profile, you'll see your company name, your industry, your location, your job title. Once you start plugging on all this information, it starts learning or adapting to how you perceive a project from your industry. So anyway, really fun stuff behind the scenes, but this is what comes out of it. So when you look at this, it looks at door access systems and continued outages. This is the response we got. This is a basic response. But what we decided to do is flip-flop it so that you can actually get a full detailed answer of exactly every reference in Paige that everything came from. So not just the the basic, it's a full breakdown. So reiteration of the prompt, full references of where it found the information relative to your prompt, introductory statement, so you can take this and use it for reports, and then a detailed answer of exactly what it found, the pages it came in, the sections it came in, and then cautionary notes. If there's something that it catches in those documents, like in a building code, where it's like, yeah, this is the answer, but in this section, you should also look at this, this, and this, because it also affects your decision. And conclusions and follow-up invitations. So we've done this because we have a 50-50 split of people that just want a rapid answer and then also want the information so that they can back up their answers with references. And then we built in the ability to actually not only see it here, but to pull up those pages and actually generate the PDF so that you can pull up the information and see it for yourself. Yeah.
All right. I mean, cool. Thank you for explaining all that. Dennis, Paige, do you want to answer some questions? Do you want to still show around Cody a bit first?
Yeah, I'll do one more thing here before we jump into the questions.
Yeah.
So the chat function, we wanted to really vet out, have a bunch of different areas that we can look into. We can look into the references and just see the snaps. We even went to the length of providing the scores for how each of these answers were compiled so that you can see how close it was to your prompt. Right? So for those of you who really want to dig into what you're asking. So what we are releasing now is the next evolution of this. We've been chatting with a large number of healthcare providers and companies that work on projects much like the ones that Paige and I worked on, where it was over $1 billion with 16, 17 different authorities on board. And they have what's called a QA/QC dashboard or a spreadsheet, where they need to have somebody, if not 4 or 5 people working 24/7, going back through projects over and over and over again to make sure that they're compliant to the owner requirements and other requirements. So we looked at that and said, CODii's natural progression is to go that route. So what we did is we allowed the ability to do compliance scans and do bulk non-compliance checks for a project on just a single prompt. So we used AI to kind of help with that. So we said, like, for instance, are there any discrepancies in my door specifications, something like that, run a compliance scan. So, and you can be very vague, or if you say I'm about to issue 90% CD, can you look at my my checklists versus all of my drawing sets and make sure all my general notes have the information needed to complete? So you'll see here, the prompt actually found documents that are relative to that prompt, pulled them up and issued to them out in front of you. So I can select both of these and then say continue with 2 documents. It's going to go through and identify if it's found any issues. And then essentially what we can do is hit, in this case, refresh and go back. Select my project just to make sure. And here, actually, it found one right off the hop. The original door specification document references NFPA 80. The new one is actually referencing NFPA 72, and it's actually not recognized for doors. So one of them actually has a reference in there for NFPA 72 that isn't even applicable, so that document's void on its own. So it found something that, unless you were with a fine-tooth comb, it wouldn't have recognized, and that you would have ordered a door that was not going to work. Not just door, but hundreds of doors for your multi-res project that would have failed. So this could have done this in bulk. If you imagine you have 30 documents and you want to verify right before an issue release, it'll spit out all of this. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. You can add in your own issues if you want to invite people to the project, and you can, create this list instead of using Excel, check things off and use it more as like an issue management tool. But this is where we're going with it, and we're going to keep building on this. So I'd love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I first have a bunch of questions myself, but also the audience. But before we say anything, Paige, is there anything you wanted to show or add or comment on?
No, I was just going to say export report. You can export this, and Dennis already is showing that on the screen. But yeah, that's essentially it. That's where we're at today with the software. So nothing more at this time.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I just wanted to give you all the, space you guys have a need for. Yeah, should we then get into questions? I think that's the best.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So I know it says LinkedIn user, and I don't know why, but this is, yeah, let me pull up. You can, yeah, but it says LinkedIn user. I know it's Irena because I checked on LinkedIn. So Irena, hi. And she's asking, does CODiii have a way to summarize each code section per AEC so that a new team member can just read the summaries versus doing full code research? Once certain codes are related to project, does it get cataloged to the project?
I'm just soaking in the question here. Does it have a way to summarize each code section per AEC so that a new team member can just read the summaries versus doing the full code research? I'm not sure if I fully understand the question.
So if you link your building code to the project, then you can use the chat function to search, and you can say, hey, can you summarize this section of the building code if you know what that section is, and it will do it for you. And you can also, it will also, if you want, can add additional documents related to your project specifically to relate it back to, you know, your project and not just a generic summarization. So that is possible. And then the other part of your question, can you get it cataloged to the project? Yeah, so there's a chat history that was on to the left. So it's there as a reference. We are adding sharing features as well. So you can share it with the team if they're not already on that project. So you can send like basically a link to CODiii to see that chat, and they can research or just read your research that you've already done. So you don't have to repeat or try to take screenshots and send it over to someone through Teams or an email.
Okay. And what about this intelligently pinpointing code issues?
Sorry, Dennis, are you going to go?
In what aspect? So code issues can be in reports, they can be in drawings, etc. I think that's going to be answered when we talk about our roadmap. But yeah, yes, the intelligent pinpoint code issues is something that we are heavily focusing on. And we're going to show you what we're up to very shortly here.
Okay, awesome. I think we're going to get to this comment about Claude in a second. But first, Valentina. Hi, Valentina. Hello from France. What happens if contradictory information is uploaded in different files, for example, from different engineers? Can CODiii detect this inconsistency?
That was actually one of the first. So I'll have to give a shout out to Brent Mowdy and Artem Savin over at Turner Fleischer Architects. This one came from them. They wanted to be able to run building codes from previous years to new updates to verify inconsistencies or differences in those documents. So yes, if you had engineers that were supplying 2 bits of information and they were smashing them together, you can identify the inconsistencies. That's why we kind of built CODiii for 2 buckets. One to show updates to documents, and others to smash documents against each other to raise non-compliances. So, yeah.
Okay. Yes. Awesome. And Juste is asking, how do you deal with possible hallucinations?
So this is the fun part. What you'll find about our application is we're only about 10% AI. And I'm gonna explain that one. Our industry is very based off of logic. Our logic is, you know, this must equal this. This has to be shorter than this. This has to be longer than this. This is how much area I need, etc. All of it's based off of very simple logic. We don't need much AI to take care of that. That we can use lots of research and regex patterns and searching and text matching and semantic relationships and stuff like that to help. So we went the route of putting it very computation heavy on just regular programming to identify and match information first. And then when it can't find the information, we take a little bit of AI to help format and adjust it. But we were just looking at, because like the AI, the large language models, they hallucinate like crazy. Our answers were coming out incorrect when we first started. Scout was just like, it would pull an answer from a completely different building code and send it to you when we were first starting it. And we were like, no, forget it. Or it would just take 2 or 3 word similarities and pick it from a completely different source that has no meaning. So that's where, Juice, to your answer, we focus more heavily on the computation side. So,
yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, let's cover these as well. Does CODiii have a trial version?
So right now we don't, but we've been getting this question a lot more frequently, and we are working towards doing that. So right now what we can offer is like a 30-minute working session, and that allows you to use your actual files. We'll walk through the whole process just like Dennis did today with that. Or with your files, and then you can start getting an idea of how CODiii will actually work on a project that you currently have. But we are working towards having a free trial in the future, in the very near future.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So I guess people just need to stay on your website, like here and there, visit it,
yeah. Or LinkedIn, both, yeah.
Or LinkedIn, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and does CODiii prepare a code summary?
So we actually have it in the app. It's just turned off. Like it's in there. So when we first did it, we actually had CODiii prepare a full building code matrix. So it is in the background. We just need some more feedback from our team members, and this is something you're going to find from us. We value, and this is why the free trial doesn't benefit anyone really, because we want to talk to you so that we can better inform the application. This has very little to do with the sales side. This is just us trying to get an idea of how you're using it and what information is important to you so that we can better involve the app. So when we look at that, that's a very, very important to us because we worked in the industry. So in terms of the code summary, yes, we originally built it because we wanted to actually just print out a code matrix right off the bat so that we can classify the building and take it to the next level and determine if you need sprinklers, which is super helpful. So
yeah. Awesome. Yeah, Juste or Juste, I don't know how you pronounce your name, man. I'm sorry, but he's saying good job. Okay, and then we had a question here, which I'm very interested in. Tim is saying that Claude is very good at reading drawings and handwriting.
Yeah, so I did want to address that. So we actually do have a report reading OCR inside of our application. So it actually takes the snapshots. We implemented it just at the very beginning of December. So we still have a lot of thorough testing to do. So it's in there. We have the application. It's actually generating the PDFs and pulling information from it. We just need more thorough testing before we can say it's like thumbs up. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And then I think unless somebody in the audience, please ask your question, guys, if you have them. I have my questions on my end, which is how is data protected within the app? Like you mentioned security in the beginning, but how did you go about it? Like, can I just upload whatever, or do I need to be careful? Or
yeah, so the way we did it, everything's encrypted on Transit. So absolutely everything's encrypted on Transit. All of the information's locked away in an AWS secure server for both the United States and Canada. So it's isolated completely. We don't log any of the conversations that happen. If we need AI is typically using it just to formulate the answer in a human response. That's all it's doing. The storage of the information is your own. Everything is secure within that AWS frame. So it's about as secure as you're going to get. We're on route to getting some more security for like the GDPR so that we can deal with the requirements out in that area. And yeah, it's quite highly secure. So
okay.
Yeah.
Now I have a question that I'm really interested in hearing how you guys are going to respond, and it's about the competition. I really want to learn what you think of it, because being in this field, you see so many people everybody wants code check drawings, but then it's very hard to do. And I still have yet to see like an example of somebody doing it successfully at scale easily. It's all like maybe here a test there, and so on. But when it comes to like this kind of chatbots, or like it's not only a chatbot. I understand, but it's more of like a compliance assistant, as you call it, design compliance assistant. But we have like Struck in Europe, and they're covering many European countries in multiple languages. Then we have like Upcodes here in the States that are building something similar. I think there was another one in Australia. Yeah, Archie from Guido, he was developing that. So yeah, like how do you respond to people? Like, which ones should they go with? Which one is better? Like how are you different than the competition?
Yeah. So we get this question pretty often. And I would say the biggest differentiator between us and say Upcodes, Trax Codes is very similar to Upcodes here in Canada and all the others that are more pinpointed on code related things or zoning, because I know Upcodes had zoning as well. But the difference is that we're giving you control to upload to sync to Cody any type of document that is text-based. And currently that's where we're at. Obviously in the future, we'll have drawing readability as well. That is part of our roadmap, which Dennis will get to later on the call. But yeah, our differentiator is truly like we are not limiting anyone to just codes. So that's where we feel like we stand out a lot. And our whole philosophy around compliance, even we're starting to step away from the word compliance, because as soon as we say compliance, people think code, but there's so many parts to it, as Dennis was going through. So design requirements is our substitute for compliance. So again, it includes budgets, it includes PSOS, different standards beyond just codes, more pinpointed for like even infrastructure projects. There's tons and tons of requirements there as well. So we're really just giving you the flexibility to have that. Another huge differentiator is that we're connected to your existing files. It's not that we're asking you to migrate anything. They just stay where they are, whether it's SharePoint, Google Drive, Dropbox. We just connect to those things. So the startup is very simple. Dennis was displaying that you just set your settings wherever those files live to anyone with a link, for example, for Google Drive, and then attach that folder or that link to from a folder to Cody. And that's how you can easily upload documents. And then you can also right click and sync. That's coming soon as well from our desktop. So it's gonna be even easier to do that. Yeah, and I mean, we're very transparent about pricing too. I think that's something across software that is not, especially enterprise software, is not very common. And we're really trying to be as transparent with everything as possible. So we actually have a whole pricing page that goes into why AEC software specifically costs what it does, and for us specifically why that does. So we do have transparent pricing there as well, starting at $199 per user per month, and then that's 1 to 10 users. And then as you scale up, we have more features, collaboration features, and custom integrations thereafter. So if you're curious, I definitely recommend checking that out. We have a calculator on there as well, so you can kind of play around with that. But yeah, I would say those are the bigger ones. Obviously, both of us are from this industry, so we really have felt the pain. And because of that, we are passionate about it and really wanting to solve it.
Okay.
So
yeah,
today, there's a couple of questions there relating around storage of information. And I left out something major that Paige touched on. The documents that reside on your local drives, those ones, if I could share my screen just quickly.
Yeah, let me pull it up again.
So I mentioned I was going to pull up a big feature today. This is one of them. So this feature allows you to just, again, this is where my brain goes when we're thinking of these things, play it where it lies. And this was where my mind was like, how do we not duplicate information and still keep it safe? So in this regard, you can right click on a document anywhere on your machine and then just say sync to Cody, and then it'll drive it up to Cody. And on top of that, what we're working on right now is an easier way to extract and put this information automatically instead of you having to fill it in. But you can select your submission type, whether it's a milestone or a coordination. And then once you go through all this, you can sync it to Cody, assuming you have the right information. And then from there, what it'll do is you can now have your whole project folder set up, basically wired in with metadata, so that when Cody's reading it, you can come up here at any time and access it. Anyway, the idea is that you can sync directly from your desktop to Cody without having to actually move the documents or go to a different common data environment. So to your point, yes, you can grab local files. It's a one-way sync. It just goes directly from here. If the file updates, you get a little flag that appears above your file that says that the file's been updated. And then you'll get the same thing in Cody saying that it's out of date. and then you just hit refresh and it syncs it up. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for showing that. That's a cool connection, and I'm pretty sure many will use that. I think it continues on this question. Like, can you somehow plan on connecting CODiii to BIM?
Yep. So funny you say that. I mean, so this came up. We are part of the Autodesk Developer Network, and with that, we're actually really heavily working on some applications in the background. So what you're seeing here on the screen is a snapshot of what we're working on. So we can actually take CODiii, fasten it into Revit, and we'll get into that. You have your AI assistant, your CODiii, that is right inside of Revit. We'll talk about ArchiCAD in a bit as well, but we're focusing our efforts on Revit. We've actually built a selection tool with this that's much faster than the tools that are inside the program itself, which is pretty cool. But the AI assistant, what it does is it selects the object, it finds where its location is according to the view that's there, and then it takes a snapshot of the full context of the view, and it takes all that information with all the metadata that's part of the object, and then sends it to CODiii. So you're not just getting the object that you're selecting and asking a question of whether or not that stair is compliant. You're asking the question, is that stair compliant within the context of the window? So that's currently on our roadmap right now. We have the application built into Revit. For those of you that are cognizant, you'll recognize that. It's just sitting right up here. We called it CODiii, codename Rogue, is what we're currently working on, because he's a little silent assassin. So he has your chat assistant, which you can bring up inside the application. You can ask it questions. It'll have your projects listed as long as you sign in. And then a compliance report, you can run checks on your projects. So this is something that we're working on. And while we're here, since that BIM question was up, I saw questions regarding drawing review earlier about OCR. We're actually building a full drawing review tool that takes the same thing, all the documents you have in CODiii, and vets them against the drawings that you have using the same mentality, as well as building this free PDF tool that we're just going to give to the community. So PDF review for free. There you go.
Wow. Okay. Talk about the lead magnet. Awesome, man. Yes. Listen, we have a bunch more questions now. Yeah, you opened like a box of questions. Yes. So I think did we answer this, Tim? I'm not sure. How long can a project reside on a server? How does the long-term storage cost money? We
It's
talked
there
about
for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to penalize you for having your document in attached to ours. And remember, your document sits on your drive, so we're not taking your document from you. You will always have it where you have it, and you can always just reconnect and continue where you are. But for us, it sits on our server forever until you leave us. So, yeah.
Okay. Or indefinitely. Hopefully they don't leave. So yeah. Yes. Valentina is asking, I understand your solution is currently cloud-based. Is a local or an on-premise deployment planned for an organization with stricter data governance requirements?
Currently cloud-based, but the application that I just showed you for right-clicking and linking to CODiii, we're building off of that, and we're bringing the chat functionality to your desktop, so to be able to get access. So that's really near. Will probably be first or second quarter of this year that we're looking at it. We've already been in talks with the Department of Defense and Canadian Armed Forces and their building projects on how we want to integrate data for both private and public portions of a project and how we can sever them. So there's still a lot of discussion to be had in terms of how that's going to interact. Or if you have suggestions or if there's barriers you've run into, LinkedIn, message us, please, because we would love to hear it.
Awesome. And this is actually a good question on the workflow. If the standards reside on the web, can CODiii look at those, or does one need to manually download PDFs and then feed into CODiii?
Yeah, we had pilot customers or pilot testers a couple months ago, maybe a month ago or so, asking for the same thing. So it's definitely in our roadmap and our very soon Q1 roadmap to build this out. It really should just be like a simple like link. No different than how you would in some ways have a folder link. You just copy the link to the chat or something like that. We're going to work on how that actually works best, whether it's in the chat or in the requirements, but that is something that has been brought up many times. So currently right now, you would have to manually PDF that page and then put it in a folder and then link that folder, or that folder is just already linked. So anything that you add more to that folder just also gets synced to CODiii automatically.
Okay, awesome. And then we had this is so fun. We had when you were showing the BIM, or the Revit compliance bot within Revit, Justo was like, how much does it cost? That's like a typical reaction. But we talked about pricing. It's on the website. Yep. This is also, man, Tim, listen, Tim, I love your question and your focus. I mean, yeah, this is like a mic drop moment for you, I guess. I don't know.
No, I fully understand the 255 return so that the railing can land straight. Yeah, I got you, Tim. No worries. But yeah, maybe Cody will pick that up in the future.
Yes. Okay, and then a question: is there a risk of losing semantic meaning if you're relying strictly on embeddings to store or query the document?
Let me think about that one, Juiced. I'll get back to you on that. I need to figure that one out in my head.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, from my side, listen, I think that this is all good. I'm mainly thinking from the business side, who's your ICP? Like, what is for you the perfect client? What is their pain? Why should they come to you? And how are you going to help them solve that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, architects would be the primary ICP for us. Ones that work on massive infrastructure projects or healthcare, big projects that are complex. We're not necessarily the best fit for a smaller studio that's only doing custom residential house designs, for example. Probably not going to really get the value out of it. Sorry, there we go. But yeah, so we're really trying to battle the complexity or the complex projects, and we think any architect that is working on something like that, we can really give them a tool that will help them do their job way faster, better. Like both of us have worked in this industry in that frame, and it's so overwhelming when you have so many requirements constantly, and they all live in spreadsheets somewhere, and then no one updates them, and they just it's chaos. So we really want to solve that. So anyone, it could also be engineers. We do want to expand to the whole AEC community, but right now our beachhead is architects because we know that world the best. And yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. I think that the alarm was either for lunch or for the Pomodoro technique, or something.
No, it was a phone call. It was actually fraud, so a potential fraud.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, no worries. So it's the next question is okay, so your ICP, I understand. What about your financial runway currently? Do you have a big number of clients? Do you still looking for how far out in the process are you of your
Yeah, so we have been a company for almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years, I think in a couple months. I think in August, so maybe a few more than a couple months. Yeah. So yeah, 5.5 years, and we've pivoted at different points, but we've been bootstrapped this entire time, and we've been funding ourselves through service contracts. And these service contracts are with AEC firms, whether they're architects, contractors, engineers, and we go in and we look at their entire operation process. So from resource allocation to what tools they're using, how trained are their staff, what's their production like, and just looking at everything at a grand scale and seeing the problems that are there. And then we, help them figure out, okay, what are your next steps to make this better? And through that process, we've actually, it's been an income stream for us, but it's also allowed us to make a better product with CODiii because we've gotten this really deep dive insight into all these companies. And it's interesting to see the patterns, even though they're, architects or engineers or contractors, the consistent pattern is decision tracking and that getting lost. which is, again, how we've been able to make CODiii what it is today and have all these other plans for CODiii based on those clients that we've spoken with. So right now we're in our recurring revenue building phase. We only launched CODiii, I think it was in August, the second launch of CODiii. So we're building that up. But yeah, our service contracts have gotten us to this point, and will continue until we can get through without them. So yeah, we're really not going anywhere either. Both of us are fully in this, and I've closed a business to be here. Dennis has walked away from a high-paying corporate job as well, and we're really passionate about it. And we have had offers for funding. We've just chosen to do bootstrapping because we're super passionate about the problem, and we don't want to be in a situation where we're influenced too much by investors and are stepping away from customers. We really want to be customer focused in everything that we do, at least in the beginning. In the future, we're definitely open to VC funding, especially for the computer vision tasks and going down that route. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm so happy you opened this topic of like funding and so on, because it's actually so interesting. So again, I talk with many startups like you guys, like I talk with many, founders, co-founders. I'm a co-founder and founder myself, right? So it's so interesting that, like, again, it's not in all cases, but typically, if a company is bootstrapped, it's because a founder is very passionate about what they do. They're in it for a lifetime, or like for like given amount of years or decades. They're very dedicated to it. But then, like, there's many startups. I'm not saying here which path is better. It's just the different paths. Mm-hmm. There's many startups that you can just see that they are maybe not from the AEC. They just like saw an opportunity, know the technology, let me build it. But the problem is that, they're all defunded. Okay. And to be funded, I don't know if you ever went through that, or for people who never went through that process, you need to have your whole plan, the market, pricing, you need to know your numbers, and you need to have a plan for the exit. So before you even get started, before you even get some money, you need to have an exit plan. So it's like I speak with these founders, and when they kind of open up to me, they start talking about the exit, and I'm like, the app hasn't even launched yet. You're talking about like you want to exit it. This is what I'm thinking in my head. But I understand from the business standpoint. But so I'm really happy that you guys are in it for the, I guess, the real motivation, which is like, okay, let's change this industry, and not like just bank make the money and leave. So yeah.
Can I show you one last thing there? So to that point, mm-hmm. The way this originally started. So for those of you who don't know, we got published in the International Business Times for this. This was at Oculi, we call this our journey. So for every app that we create, we generate a journey. We call this our interactive crowdsourcing system. So we wanted to be more connected to the individuals that need these softwares and processes to help them. And we also wanted to have them the ability to pay into something that they need. And pay into it doesn't just mean by money. We were looking at how do we generate a roadmap. And I'm a big gamer. I love video games, and Paige played as well. And we've said what entices individuals is to grow, and to grow with the company. So when we first started, we created CODiii Scout. We went through and looked at the user input and funding, how our beta progress went, software completion, and we added the ability to create a boost to that. And by boost, we just mean reach out to us and see how you can get involved. And then we build out what these next question marks are together as a team. And we slowly tool up CODiii with new skills and new capabilities as he goes. So we've, Revit is right up there on our list. And as you can see, with user input and, funding, we need more users. Users help us get there. And at the same time, they get their feedback listened to. So that's there on our website. We call it our journey. The journey is going to be more evolved as time goes. You'll be able to fund into certain aspects of it instead of just putting it on an ideas portal. You can put your money where your mouth is and click on a button and boost it, and then actually see it getting made, but also with input from the community. You're not just paying for something that nobody's going to use. we're going to pay for the roadmap that everyone needs. So anyway, just wanted to post that out.
That's awesome. I love that. I love how you visualize it, and yeah, if people can get involved. I love that. Yeah, I guess, you can kind of build that 1,000 true fans, so to speak, of your product, and have people grow with you. So that's awesome. Yeah, we wanted to talk about the roadmap. You mentioned it many times, so go ahead. What's next for you?
Yeah, so we have a number of things on our roadmap. Paige and I decided to focus heavily on making the best possible chat functionality that we can. So we're going to be working heavily right now on our QA/QC dashboard, as well as our chat functionality, to improve on it more and more as we go. Like how it connects, how it interacts, how the requirements sit in. We're going to spend some time on that in our first quarter. Over the next couple of years here, in the next year or two, we have been approached by a number of different companies, some that are 3,000 plus, that really want drawing review. And drawing review from two different aspects, one from BIM, one from PDF. So we've already reached out to some very big minds in computer vision, and we have them teed up and ready to go for our next stage, which is our drawing review. We're very, very excited about that aspect of it, because drawing reviews are something that Paige and I do all the time. And we see the benefit on being able to rip apart a drawing set, but not just with the lens of the individual reviewing it. It's also the lens of the individual talking in the back that you never get to hear words to. So, I want to review this drawing set to see if it's ready for 90% CD, if it's ready for construction documents. What does that mean when they ask that question? Well, I look at my checklists and it should be good to go. It's not. So that's what we're focusing our energy on this year, is a lot of increasing the app. So our roadmap is starting with that. Then we're going to be introducing more functionality to Daydream to be able to work more intelligently. And then additionally, all the rest of the BIM challenges that we're and integrations with those different software. And Paige, did I miss anything there?
I don't think so. Yeah, I would just add the company-wide standards. I know that was asked about in this call as well. Anything company-wide, whether it's building code-related items, just a general settings area for that is something that's coming in Q1 as well.
And we just had a conversation yesterday that was about cost control. So we were interviewing companies from suppliers and CBRE in terms of Turner and Townsend, and just trying to figure out how dollars and cents are being vetted through the whole building lifecycle, and looking at how can Cody build a compliance engine that ties into costs. So we built out a mock-up UI UX to bring to that meeting and brought it out and said, hey, are you interested in having a public linking RFP, RFQ portal where everyone can just drive their information in and find out if we're matching budgets and costs and stuff. And these are the discussions we have. So every month we host a Storm of Brains session. And those Storm of Brains sessions actually come out with actionable insights, and we build what we talk about. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, it seems like you have a lot of work ahead of you and a lot of work behind you. So in that work behind you, what are you the proudest of? What kind of makes you think, hey, I think we did a good thing here?
Paige, you want to kickstart?
Sure, I'll go first. I would say probably public speaking and getting over that fear. Still dealing with it, so it's not quite, I'm in the middle of the journey. It's not behind me yet, but just where I was even a year and a half ago, or even just a year ago, it's getting better. And I think I'm from the architecture world, so I'm just a creative person. That's just how I am. And anyone listening who is also a creative person can relate. When you release something you've created to the public, it can also it can kind of give you anxiety, and you're kind of wondering okay, are they going to like it and all that stuff. And I've, dealt with that over the course of just being an architectural designer with clients, and you do get used to it over time. But every time you launch something new, whether it's software, whether it's a painting or whatever it is, there's always that little bit of a barrier. How are people going to perceive this? And it's a part of you, right? It's something that you put blood, sweat, and tears into. So yeah, I guess just seeing how far I've come with that is pretty rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so sorry, before you go, Dennis, so for you, I guess you're proudest of your self-improvement journey, so to speak, or like getting over some fears through this journey?
Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure. I mean, being a founder is like all about self-improvement. Like you have to be also willing to take criticism at every point. And I should say feedback. It's not always criticism, but feedback no matter what it looks like. And that also is how, you get that fear of like, oh, if I launch this, what are people going to say, right? So yeah, I mean, just really becoming a better founder through this journey has been very rewarding.
I love that you said that. Tim is also saying that you're doing awesome. So
thank you, Tim.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I wanted to say is that, like it's a good thing to say in January specifically, because people are motivated, new year, new me stuff and so on. But which is great. I'm just trying to say that if you do feel stuck within your job, just start a company, man. It's or like yeah, you're gonna like like your life is gonna become unboring overnight. So and it's gonna be challenge here, challenge there, but it's gonna like you're gonna feel at the end of every day like, oh my god, this is worth it. Like no matter how hard it is. Okay. Anyways, Dennis, please go ahead. What are you proudest of?
You know what? I have one major thing, and it was about checking the ego at the door. We had the privilege of joining the Next AI program in the past year, and it was the first thing they said on day one. And when you're part of the industry and you're professional in that area, for a while I got stuck into that, doing training and being a product expert and doing this, and then I realized that I have to stop and pump the brakes and listen and learn. And one of the biggest things I'm proud of is just stopping and listening. As much as I'd like to chat, I've been having so much fun listening and leaving that ego behind to build products that people actually need, not what I think they need. So it's been a blast to just change my whole mentality and just listen. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now we're just waiting for Tim's comment to say, Dennis, you're doing great.
Yeah, listen more. That's funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, I understand. Okay, but actually, it's so interesting that you both answered the question in a way like with this kind of self-improvement stuff. Like you're kind of getting over your like being closer to your customers from your personal standpoint. Like you need to overcome some things, you need to learn some things, you need to expose yourself to some things, because they're like typically what people answer, which is all fine. Like we got so many customers, we helped so many people, which is great. But like it all starts with you. Like I think that in order to have like this scalable company, typically you need to have a scalable personality, so to speak. You need to overcome some fears and so on. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, guys, listen, I know you're hungry, most likely. So I'm not gonna go on chatting for a long time. Yeah, do you have anything else you wanted to add to this? So people should just like reach out on LinkedIn or your website. That's it, or
LinkedIn for sure is a place that we'd love to chat. But Paige has been working tirelessly around the clock to build an amazing website and experience for everyone with full transparency of everything that we do. So Paige, if you wanted to.
Yeah. So, I mean, visit that website. Thank you for the boost there. But yeah, definitely visit our website. We're constantly posting blogs like 3 times a week. We're going to come out with probably videos 2 times a week starting next week, hopefully. So yeah, just keep up to date with us on LinkedIn. You can connect with us personally. We post more on our personal page than our company page. But yeah, I mean, feel free to reach out any way that works best for you. You can also email us. PR@oculi.ca is mine. DD@oculi.ca is Dennis. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any suggestions, more questions. We're more than willing to hear from you.
Yeah. And if you just want to send a picture of your cute dog, by all means, do that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you send it to PR. You don't know if it's public relations or if it's
paid. Well, I mean, I am doing public relations sometimes.
Awesome. Yeah. Guys, listen, it was great to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything about your product. So yeah, thank you for and being the first ones in 2026. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate you having us.
Yes, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna leave you just for a second here in the back room. Yes, guys, thank you so much for joining, everybody. Thank you for your questions. We have Data Grid. They do AI workflows, AI agents. We have them on Tuesday next week, and then we have Thursday Augmenta. So there's gonna be like 2 demos next week. Just follow me on LinkedIn. You're gonna be updated on all of those. You can find both events actually already on LinkedIn, so that's much easier. And yeah, thank you for joining. Have a successful, healthy, and love-filled 2026. We're going to be here next week. So yeah, see you there. Okay, bye-bye. I need to end the stream. Sorry. See you guys.